Laverne Simmons' tragic life became increasingly tough as a teenager.
I had my daughter at 15 because I wanted somebody to love me because I didn't feel loved by my mom.
I would just tell my kid, apologize to my kids every day about the things that they had to go through and the things I had put them through.
Laverne says she spent a decade struggling through her mother's addiction, raising siblings, making sure the rent was paid, using sex to settle debts with her mom's drug dealers. With that kind of history, Laverne says she wasn't about to leave her brother's girlfriend, Michelle Kuzner, the mother of Laverne's 4 nieces and nephews, alone while Michelle chased crack and ran the streets for weeks at a time. So when Michelle stole 2 vans, one from Laverne's mom and one from Laverne's brother in October of last year to rent to Detroit drug dealers, Laverne went on Facebook looking for help to locate the vans and to save Michelle from addiction. She and 2 friends found Michelle in Detroit, but a confrontation between the 2 women became a fist fight. Here at Annabelle and Salliot in southwest Detroit is where the fight took place, with witnesses telling police they didn't see any punches thrown, but they did see Laverne standing over Michelle, holding her on the ground by grabbing a section of her hair. Detroit police arrived to separate the women, noting in their report, quote, no apparent injuries observed on either person, unquote. Laverne left thinking Michelle was under arrest, but officers simply left her at this house where a friend lived about a block away. Several hours later, Michelle was dead.
I'm sorry. I did not mean for her to die. I honestly, with all my heart, I went there to help her. My mom was on drugs for 10 years. And when her mom asked me for help, I remember what I went through. And I didn't want my nieces to go through that.
That was Laverne in court, convicted of manslaughter. Judge James Callahan's sentence, 3 to 15 years in state prison.
A very tragic incident where now 7 children are going to be without a mother. 4 because their mother was killed by you. And your 3 children, because you're going to wind up going away to prison.
Laverne's defense attorney says Wayne County's chief medical examiner, Carl Schmidt, and assistant county prosecutor Christine Kowal not only misled the jury, but overcharged Laverne. Both claimed that Michelle's death was the result of blunt force trauma during the fight. What they both withheld from their presentation to the jury was a report done by the toxicologist, a respected scientist in the same medical examiner's office headed by Schmidt. That report, which was part of the autopsy, concluded Michelle died from a drug overdose. There was cocaine in her bloodstream, but what killed her was 5 times the lethal dose of doxepin, medication prescribed for her bipolar disease.
That only came out on rebuttal. Had I not brought that out on direct examination during the defense case in chief, it never would have come out.
The doctor, attorney Jordan, called to tell the jury about the fatal overdose. World-renowned expert and Oakland County Chief Medical Examiner L.J. Dragovic. He told Action News he was disturbed that the prosecutor deemed Michelle's death a fatal beating, and that Schmidt ignored his own lab's scientific proof that she died from an overdose.
Any medical professional who's doing that is violating the primary tenet of medicine. First, do no harm.
And about the prosecutor who charged murder when a crucial part of the autopsy report, the toxicology results, revealed an overdose was a proven cause of death.
I don't believe that it's the reasonable ethical role of any attorney not to look at the evidence and share the evidence in court openly and squarely.
Could the overdose have been an accident or a suicide attempt? Michelle's ex says she talked about it when depressed and had attempted to take her own life before.
She tried to commit suicide one time before, but talked about it, yes.
Legal expert and professor Peter Henning says, on balance, the jury heard what it needed to reasonably decide Laverne's fate.
In that situation, it would not be a miscarriage of justice because it's up to the jury to decide. Certainly a questionable decision by the jury, but one unlikely to be overturned.
But Laverne, who plans to appeal, is more hopeful.
And God told me I was going to be okay. So even after the guilty verdict, I still believe what God told me. He told me I was going to be okay. I don't know what that means right now, but He told me I was going to be okay.
Laverne's defense attorney believes the evidence presented in court supports no more than an assault and battery charge, which would have meant days in jail instead of years in prison. The prosecutor told Action News the guilty verdict speaks for itself and declined an interview. The medical examiner did not return repeated calls for comment. Bill Proctor, Channel 7 Action News.